For centuries, the Quinnebog River divided the Nipmuc and Mohegan tribal territories. In the early 17th century, John Winthrop purchased a tract of land in what was to become Sturbridge, Massachusetts. But it wasn't until 1730 that Southbridge was to be settled by Europeans. With its setting on the rushing Quinnebog, Southbridge quickly became a powerhouse of mill production in Worcester County, a role it served for more than 200 years. Its identity as a center of production was indelibly marked by American Optical, which was born there and maintained their eyewear production in the town until the late 20th century, earning it the nickname the Eye of the Commonwealth. After generations of Yankee farmers and millers and displaced Nipmucs, came huge waves of French-Canadian immigrants from Quebec, finding work and a different life. They were followed by Puerto Ricans and Southeast Asians. But French continued to be widely spoken in the town until living memory, and the legacy of French culture is found to this day with French cuisine and family customs. But nowhere more evidently than Notre Dame, a spectacular flying cathedral that dwarfs any Protestant steeple in the town. On my way to Southbridge, the Eye of the Commonwealth, I'm heading out to see an instrument in what's basically a cathedral built by French-Canadian immigrants to Southbridge who came to work in the mills, particularly for American Optical, which is based in Southbridge. I'm really excited to see it. I've seen this church my whole life, but I've never been inside it, and it's absolutely huge. I've heard it's a French-Canadian instrument from the early century, probably about 100 years old. The video we're making is part of a docu-series for the Worcester chapter of the American Guild of Organists, and it's something we started during COVID, but it's just a way for us to get out into the county and learn about some of the amazing instruments that we have that aren't right here in the city of Worcester.
Based out of central Massachusetts, and I work for the Andover Organ Company, north of Boston. This is a Cassavant Frères organ from St. Hyacinthe, Quebec, built in 1916 by that company specifically for this church. It is in its original home, has had some work done to it, some minor restoration or partial restoration. Part of the beauty of that is the 4 keyboards were all redone between 4 and 5 years ago, so they are nice and bright and white. And unfortunately, one of the earlier organists at the church smoked and didn't play the lower keyboard a lot, so would take a cigarette out and lay it down on the keys. And there were several that were burned in quite a bit when I first came here about 10 years ago. fun little mix of mechanical and electropneumatic in that the keys, stops, pistons are all electropneumatic. The combination action for, I believe it's 5 general pistons and then 5 and 3 between the 4 different manuals is entirely remote in the case for the organ. So there's no actual combination system happening within. It's all remote. Skinner had done that a few times as well, including at the music hall in Methuen. On top of all of that, the swell shoes for the solo and positif and the récit are entirely mechanical. So they go down between 3 and 4 feet, if I recall, from the console to a long pair of steel rollers that goes the 30 to 40 feet back from here to underneath those divisions and then up that additional 12 to 15 feet. So it has tracker expression and electropneumatic key action. So it is one of the most expressive electropneumatic organs because of that. Facade of the organ that we see behind me is made up of the 16-foot and 8-foot mantras for the grand orgue. Speaking pipes go between the 2 towers for the 16s and the side flats in the middle for the 8s and some of the 16s as well before they land on the chest immediately behind.
Do they all play?
Not all of the facade pipes play, but a good number of them do. Enter the organ here. Authorized personnel only, as the sign says. ISO authorizes.
Okay.
I should have turned to take some stuff from you. The first thing we see here are the reservoirs for the positif and the grand orgue. And underneath is some of the mechanical switching, or electropneumatic switching rather, for key action and combination action, which we'll see on the other side as well. So we are underneath the solo organ and the récit, and one of the unique features as you come over here, the wind line for the blower brings down 2 different pressures, a lower pressure for the main organ and a higher pressure for the solo up above us here. And it comes down from above in the bell tower. The blower is actually on a suspended platform some 40 to 50 feet above the level we're standing on now, which isolates vibration and noise and really keeps it running quiet, but in a really unique position for service. So when it failed several years ago, it actually had to go out a window on a crane and be brought down and back up when it was repaired. So there are some great pictures of that happening floating around that we'll have to find for this at some point. The original blower is still in place, but the electrical system of the organ now runs on a rectifier or voltage changer instead of a generator. But the original batteries that would have been tied into the generator are mounted to the side of the wind line chase, just on this side here, which would have kept the voltage and amperage more stable as the organ was running. The fact that those are still here some 100+ years later is unique. We'll leave it at that. This is the tremolo for the récit division. Big pneumatic inside and a big counterweight arm to get that going back and forth. Now surround us here, we have the 16 and 8 pedal reed. The largest 16-foot pipes go up in front of a window behind us there and have a wonderful habit of filling up with ladybugs each year, which is why a lot of the smaller pipes have nice little cloth hats to keep things from falling in. That will stop them from speaking. So these numbered wooden caps are the covers for the electromagnets that fire each of these pipes. And there's an electric coil inside and an armature underneath, and they actually open up and play the note. Can also be played by the primary wire for the valving as well. But wooden capped magnets are rather interesting. Most that we see in organs today are all cast metal, screw together and attach very simply and can be replaced very easily if they fail. These are very much built in, but Cassavant at least gave us the option to take them out in pieces or groups to repair them if need be, or figure out how in the world to replace them when they go. But since 1916 and 2021 now, they've been doing quite well.
My name is Kyle Cromer, and I'm the organist at the First Congregational Church in Munson. I am fortunate enough to play funerals here at St. John Paul II Parish, and this organ is just so fantastic. It has such great acoustics.
exploring that room, exploring that instrument, listening to it bloom in the room, it was kind of like time travel, and like actual travel too. Usually you have to cross the ocean and go to Europe to see organs in spaces like this. But it's amazing, without the people and the talents of our chapter members, these organs would fall silent. They wouldn't be maintained. They wouldn't be beautifully played and advocated for. And that's such a gift. Each church in Southbridge is unique, but I like to think that they were all built in a sort of dialogue with the river. Without that river, there would be no Southbridge, and whether it's early European settlers using it to float timbers for their first churches, or other immigrants who came hundreds and hundreds of miles from across the world to work in mills that were powered by it, the river has driven the life of Southbridge. When you step inside Notre Dame, in many ways you experience that river. Grand, powerful, but also beautiful and gentle. It's an amazing experience, and one I feel very fortunate to have had. I encourage our entire chapter membership to travel out to Southbridge and experience it for yourself.